think I'd have an impromptu season 2 of the show with a new intro, but thanks to some unnamed individuals, I had to can my Anamanaguchi opening for this new one. It wasn't the band, by the way, super cool people, they had nothing to do with it, said I could have kept using it, but now we got our own legit theme song, so nice. Thanks to Popskyy for the intro song, but yeah, that's why I had to do the Sonic Archie video instead, which I've had on the back burner for a bit. I'll probably be able to squeeze out another one, but I want to focus on the main show a little longer before splitting things up. But anyways, this was actually my first introduction into Crash Bandicoot. I think this was, probably about 20 years ago when I first played this game. I didn't play this game when it first came out, since it was probably about 2001 when I first played this game. Back then, I didn't have much of my library, and the new PS2 was sitting downstairs, but I did enjoy my time with Crash 2. This is probably my first linear platformer game that I've ever played, since I played more open area platformers like Toy Story 2 and Ape Escape. Also, back when I first played this, I didn't know about breaking all the boxes to get gems and was just trying to play the game and get to the end collecting the crystals, but I'll get to the gameplay in a bit. Alright, well, Naughty Dog released a sequel only a year after the first game. I do remember the commercials around this time since I watched a lot of TV growing up, and just something about a man in a giant mascot outfit shouting at a building. You just don't forget things like that.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. You're hurting my elbow.
Anyways, let's go ahead and fire off this gem. This is Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back.
Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back.
So after the events of the normal ending of the last game, we see Dr. Cortex falling down to the Wampa Islands below. He comes across a new power source known as the Crystals, but not before he tries his Dan Castellaneta impression. A year later, with the new research assistants, Dr. Engine tells Dr. Cortex that one crystal isn't enough to power his new pretty space station. They need 25 more to get the maximum power needed to power the Cortex Vortex. Considering that we downsized the entire operation in the last game, Dr. Cortex plans to use Crash to collect the crystals from. Luckily, Crash's sister, that he has always had for some reason, Coco, needs a new battery for her laptop, and Crash sets out on a journey to go get it when he's warped out of existence and found in a warp room where Cortex says he's trying to save the world and stop Dr. Embryo from doing it. Well, maybe I'd be inclined to believe you, but you literally just showed me that Cortex was collecting the crystals to take over the world, and the name of the game is Cortex Strikes Back! Yeah, the game could have had a better way to tell the narrative, but whatever. If you decide not to listen to the Mad Doctor, because why would you? He will yell at you telling you to go back and grab them, and if you keep doing it, he'll treat you like a child about it and show you what to get. Well, I pissed him off and I got a nice trophy for it, so there you go. Crash goes to help Cortex because, well, your boy's dumb. I mean, even when Nitro and Coco tell you that Cortex is lying, we, the player, know that he is because, I mean...
Cortex Strikes Back.
But Crash does it anyways because he dumb. So these warnings come off as an unneeded, but hey, story isn't really the main focal point. The name of the game is still breaking boxes and making it to the end of the stage, bing, bang, dead. Luckily, this game isn't as much of a headache as the last one, just a handful of BS sections that I will address when we get there. This game started the dynamic difficulty adjustment back in the first release of that game, and I got enough issues going around here without breaking any more walls in my place. Anyways, after collecting all the crystals and putting the smackdown on Cortex, Coco tells us that the Cortex Vortex is still in orbit and needs to be taken out, and that has to be done by collecting all the gems. Which, alright, let's circle back to this. So, gameplay-wise, Crash can do things like he could before, except now he has the ability to do a body slam to break specially marked crates. He can also go into a crouch and give himself a high jump, as well as when he's moving into a slide, then jump afterwards, which gives a nice sense of distance, and is very satisfying to do correctly until you, of course... Yeah, death animations are here in full force, and kinda soften the blow in my opinion to see these hilarious death animations after dealing with the headaches of some of these levels. Speaking of stages, are done by picking them from a set and completing them at your leisure instead of a linear completion like the last game, which makes things easier when you can't get past a certain section, you need a break, you can try with a different level instead, which makes things a bit more manageable, which you are gonna need with all the new death routes that are included in certain stages. Make it far enough into a level without dying once will make these platforms available to access more boxes to get the box gems. This game has alternate routes to unlock in other stages, which, yeah, happens quite a bit, but that's not an issue so much for some of them if you think about it. I mean, why would there be a staircase of nitro crates on a path? That just makes no sense. That's not to say all the extra routes are like that. The bonus stages come back, but they aren't save spaces since by this point most people had memory cards. Now the save areas are in the main hubs, which is nice, so these levels just act for getting extra boxes that are needed to get the box gem, some extra Wumpa Fruit, and some extra lives if you're lucky. I know for a while as a kid I didn't have a memory card for the PS2, and remember having to play certain games in one sitting or leave the PS2 on overnight, but luckily I did for playing this game on the PS1, cause fucking goddamn big asshole motherfucking bullshit. This piece of shit stage right here is one of that could suck the biggest part of my cold hard crash. Okay, let's break this down. First of all, this is the longest stage in the original Crash trilogy, and has the most amount of boxes to break, but get through the stage without dying, go past the death route platform, because you'll miss these boxes over here, then turn around and make it back, still without dying, in this tricky ice level with sliding physics with your big thick boy Crash over here, navigate his chunky through death pits, alternating crushing platforms, nitro crates, and smack that exclamation point. Good job! Now turn around and head back through all of that, and also make sure not to fall down over here, cause then you have to start all over again. Make it back to the death route, break the boxes down at the bottom, now go and play the stage like normal. But play it one more time, cause you gotta get that extra gem either before or after doing this, cause you can't get this gem and the box gem in one run, cause getting this one will force you to mix the box. It's just... Honestly, this game is great. Better than the first, but man, this part right here really tanks the experience for making you want to get the 100% ending. Okay, what else is there to go on about? Well, the game introduces some new gimmicks. The board riding segments are replaced with polar bear riding. Then there's this new jetboard segment, which are pretty fun to navigate through, although the new jetpack stages make things a bit awkward to control, no matter how many stages you have to complete with them, which luckily isn't many. But the final boss is chasing him with these controls, which makes him the black sheep of the boss fights, as well as an annoying mechanic to handle. The other bosses are pretty fun to handle, although I remember when fighting Dr. Engine, I dodged for a bit before realizing that I could throw Wumpa Fruit at his weak points, but that's on me, I guess. Other than that, the music this time around I remember enjoying more than the first one. Not to say that the first one's bad, it's just there's more memorable tracks in this one, with a heavy amount of guitar twangs and fast-paced energy that helps me want to get to the end quicker than usual. Which, speaking of, the time relics are included in this version, along with the Crash Dash that is brought over from Crash 3. With the hit detection that I complained about in the first game was never an issue for me here. In the first one, with precision jumping, and I felt like where Crash was going was where he was going to land, which with all the BS you have to deal with already is a nice thing that you don't have to deal with this on top of that. Maybe it affects things when it comes to speedrunning, but honestly it didn't matter for me as long as I was getting from point A to point B. However, dealing with backtracking is still a pain with fighting the cameras in the segments. Maybe not as bad as the first, but the lack of the camera swinging around or at least panning out more when backtracking is a pain, especially when an enemy you didn't see before appears out of nowhere and now you're dead because the camera literally didn't show it to you. With all that said, overall, I definitely recommend Crash 2 over the original, and is still worth a play today. The original PS1 version is great, but newcomers might find the remake a little more manageable, especially since Aku Aku gives you hits during the loading screen sections for hidden gems and as well as the color gems. Alright, well, time to go see our favorite little jungle boy with Tomba 2, The Evil Swine Returns. And hey, you made it to the end, so maybe you liked the video, or if not, tell me in the comment section below, and go ahead and make sure you tap that subscribe button and smack that bell to know when the next video is out. Make sure to check me out on Bluebird, the Purple Box, and Nostalgia Cam if you want to see more of my art, as well as whatever updates and gameplay I'll be giving in between reviews. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys again real soon.